My Lord, you are then taken to the case that has now been cited ad nauseum, the case of Maina Kiai. And it's instructive that when my good learned friend and my student Antonio Luoch showed the video stopped at a very convenient point where the late Musando said, and the chairman cannot vary the results. That's where it stopped. And the Honorable Justice Ojwang asked the question of what evidential value. If your Lordship look at the Evidence Act at section 106B, you will discover that the manner in which that video was introduced offends all rules of submission of evidence under our jurisdiction. I'm therefore submitting to us that in totality what you have is a litany of allegations that are literally standing on stilts and have only one fate. They fall when they have been faced by the weight of evidence that we have supplied. The other question that was raised is on the significance of elections. And this was Mutaha Kangu at Article 4 of the Constitution. He said that elections, and the Honorable Justice Mokin Wanjala was right and quick in saying that the lecture was Constitutional Law 101, in which he tried to educate us on what a republic is. But my submission is that in this petition, what we are grappling with is that the people of Kenya in their totality came out on the 8th day of August and expressed their will. This court should be very reluctant to overturn the will of the people of Kenya unless it can be demonstrated that indeed that will was subverted. And it has been demonstrated by the first respondent and the first and the second respondent that indeed all the prescriptions of the law, and this, my Lord, when you retire, I do not want to belabor this issue. When you retire, the question that I invite you respectfully to ask, what is the litmus test? And my lords, when you look at our list of authorities, which has a number of authorities which I'll not take you through, it was filed on the 25th day of August, the year 2017, with a total of 30 authorities. The first authority is the Constitution. And what we invite your lordships and your ladyships to do is to look at the Constitution and ask the question, did this election satisfy the prescriptions of Article 81? And in my respectful submission, it did. Did it satisfy the prescriptions of Article 86? And in my respectful submission, it did. And once you've looked at the Constitution, the next question that you will ask yourselves, that when you look at the enabling legislation, did it satisfy those pieces of legislation? Did it satisfy the regulations? And the answer is that it did. And when you arrive at that finding, the only decision that I invite you to arrive at is that the people of the Republic of Kenya on the 8th day of August did express their will, and the first and second respondent did midwife. Remember, your lordships and your ladyships, ours is midwifery. We delivered a baby. That baby is alive and well. You are being asked to strangle the baby. Decline the invitation. Decline the invitation because the baby is alive and well. The next issue that we want to submit on as I draw to the conclusion, because I want to be very pointed, is to draw you to our own submissions. My Lord, I've always said that when one wants to submit for too long, it tells you that there is actually no case. That which is clear is stated in a very brief manner. My Lord, if you look at our own submissions, which submissions were filed, dated the 25th day of August this year, we use the submissions to address all the issues that are germane to this petition. And I want to draw your attention to pages 2 through to pages 3, paragraphs number 5. Paragraph number 5 is important because it captures the essence of our case and simply tells us that the election of a president is a process. It is not an event. And if you look at the totality of the process, you will discover that this process is a process that satisfied the requirements of the law. And we have demonstrated at the point of identification, at the point of result, the point of counting, the forms 34, forms 34A, B, C, and D, up to the transmission, and we have demonstrated beyond peradventure that indeed this was an election that complied with the law. My Lord, I also want us to look at in our own list of authorities on pages 8 through to page 11. You will discover that those are the pages that deal with the entire process. And it is worth noting that your petitioners, through their agents or through their sympathizers, have before this date litigated every aspect of the election. That is in the public domain. Every aspect has been litigated, including the procurement of ballot papers, including submission, including the transmission of results, so that as we come here, if one were to use the word res judicata loosely, I will not. I would say that these issues are res judicata, but I will not say that, knowing that your jurisdiction is sui generis. So the totality of our submissions, your lordships and your ladyships, is that we have demonstrated through the various affidavits that this petition is destitute of merit. And because it is destitute of merit, it should suffer only one fate, the fate of dismissal. But there are two things I want to say before I sit down. That when you look at your petitioners' written submissions, they suffer the same fate as all their pleadings. The rule of the thumb is that you don't use your submissions to introduce new evidence. Their submissions are used to introduce new evidence, thus offending all the rules that govern written submissions. In a nutshell, my lords and your ladyship, what you have before you in my respectful submission is a petition that is dead on arrival. What you have before you is a petition that is replete with speculation, is a petition that does not have the evidential weight that is worthy of overturning the election that was conducted by the first respondent and its chairman, the chairman of the IEBC. I therefore respectfully submit, on the basis of the submissions that have been made on our behalf, on the basis of the affidavits that have been filed, on the basis of the authorities that we have filed, on the basis of our written submissions, which you'll have the opportunity to read in their full flavor, to come to a finding that this petition is without merit and to dismiss it with costs to your respondents. Those are my respectful submissions. Unless your lordships and your ladyships want me to clarify anything, I beg to sit down.
Thank you, Mr. Lumumba. You were clear.
May God bless you. God bless you.
I think we still have some 6 minutes. According to the... but I can take the 6 minutes tomorrow if your lordships feel like...
No. Just finish it and we...
My lords, just to wrap up, allegations made